Hey, Don. So we were just getting started. Uh, Thanks everyone for joining. I know like few more people are joining in right now. We are running a little bit tight on the timeline, but I'll just repeat like where we kind of like started from and then quickly jump into our actual agenda. So this is our first session of this meetup group, and I was actually looking for a meetup group over here, like nearby in the Princeton area where we can do some brainstorming together. And I did not find any active sessions going on, so I went ahead and created one. So you can always connect me through LinkedIn. So this is my LinkedIn profile. You also have our guest speaker Varun, who is representing Yellow.ai, and he agreed to kind of like give us some more nuggets about like what's going on in Yellow.ai. Again, I work in Freedom Mortgage as an architect. I have like over 20 years of experience, this particular discussion, this has nothing to do with Freedom Mortgage. It's my all our own, and this is our agenda of the meeting. So this was a little bit of housekeeping. So I'll jump into the introduction section over here. Maybe if you can just tell a little bit about yourself. I'll go ahead and start by introducing myself, which I already did, but I'll add my interest area and also like what kind of experience do I have on generative AI and what do we want to get out of this meetup. So again, like I'm Ujjal Bhattacharya. I work in Freedom Mortgage in the IT as an architect, and have been in the IT industry for 20 years. So what is my interest area? My interest area is definitely to see like what are the new technologies as a technologist. Like I always want to like explore and understand the new technology area that is going on. Luckily, I'm also in the AI space within Freedom Mortgage, so I do a lot of work on generative AI and conversational AI. And what do we want to get out of this meetup? Like this is particularly sharing ideas and also like getting understanding experiences and also trying to identify like what are the interest area for the future meetup session. So I'll stop over here. Who wants to go next? Anyone wants to volunteer participate? Go next. Real quick. Maybe Dawn, you are on the camera. I can see you
Sure.
first.
Okay. Hi, I'm Dawn Bird. I live here in Yardley, Pennsylvania, and I am currently unemployed. I worked at Educational Testing Service in Princeton, New Jersey for 34 years. I left there as the website manager, so I have lots of experience in managing end-to-end information and assets that go on a website. And I'm very curious about how AI will fit into that type of a job scenario in the future. I also was involved in developing and selling through an e-commerce platform more than 300 applications that my team built. And, just understanding more about how AI is being used by people locally and how it might help me, in the work that I do in the future.
Good. I mean, I do not know whether we'll be able to answer all the questions or not. This was, we'll see. Like
it's this meeting is just the beginning.
Okay, just the beginning. Yeah, this is the first one. So how about Jeremy? Like you're the next one
Sure.
on the list that I have.
Sure. My name's Jeremy DePrisco. I live in Norristown, Pennsylvania. I have been self-employed for the last 4 years, doing freelance media, digital media work, mostly music production. But prior to that, my career was in healthcare IT, specifically electronic health records.
Okay.
I also did some innovation work, rapid prototyping, some applications, and working with physicians. My interest in AI is really multi-layered. I'm interested in how it's impacting the creative realm, both graphically and musically. And I think what I'm looking to get out of this is really just meeting more people, maybe finding out if there's ways to collaborate and share some skills and just learn.
Yeah, absolutely. How about you, Divya? You are next on my list. So just if you want to give like one liner, 2 lines.
I'm actually just here to like learn more about it.
Okay.
I'm very early on in my career. I work as a data analyst in the healthcare industry. So just here to learn more.
Go for Menon, if you want to go next.
Yeah, thank you, Ujjwal. Hello, everybody. It's very nice to meet you online. Um, my primary focus for the last 5 to 6 years has been in the agility and scaled agility space. I'm an independent consultant, and and lately, since last March, I've been working on a AI-based a model for monitoring pharmaceutical quality systems. And we just got our provisional patent on that model. What we're primarily using is AI ML in combination with LLMs. But as you know, the compute costs for regular AI ML versus LLMs are extremely different, very different in terms of computing costs. So we've come up with a model that can optimize it. So I'm trying to get on and understand local networking in terms of who are all interested in AI. I live in Hillsborough, very close to Princeton.
Very close to, yeah. I mean,
very close to Princeton. And so there is a generative AI component in it, but I'm not entirely sure whether we should have it or not. So hopefully I can have some discussions on this.
Yeah, sure. I mean,
Very
like,
nice to meet you
again,
all.
keep in mind, this is not the last one. This is the first
Okay.
meetup. So if we do not even, are able to cover all the topics of interest, definitely we are going to like set up another time or next session, like we'll bring it up, right? I'm not going to forget about that. So
Thank you.
great. This was a great introduction. So we have Gopa, Don, Divya, Jeremy, Ritesh Biswas.
Yeah, hi everyone. Very nice to meet everyone. My name is Ritesh Biswas. I live a little north of you guys in North New Jersey. I'm a Big Four consultant by trade, but a computer science engineer by background. And my experience with Gen AI is I'm currently deploying this in mostly banking clients. I'm a banking guy. And I would say mostly on the Google stack, fairly hands-on, have teams building solutions around it for banks. What I'm looking to get out of this is a couple of things, 2 things specifically. One, obviously, this is a fast-moving field, so any information is learning. And second, meet fellow practitioners who focus on the OpenAI stack, because as I mentioned earlier, I'm fairly deep in the Google stack. My blind spot is the OpenAI stack. So I'm hoping to learn a little bit more about the OpenAI stack.
Yeah, we can connect. I mean, I have worked clearly a lot on the OpenAI stack. I have not actually on the Google stack.
Yeah, would love to compare notes on that.
Yeah. We can definitely. Mehul is the next one on my list.
Hey guys, how are you?
Good. How are you, Mehul?
Good,
so if you want to give a
so what are we doing
intro.
here? Name and interest?
Just
Well, I'm Mehul Shah, and I'm an AI engineer and principally working on the Azure stack for deploying applications for clients.
Okay. Awesome. Rahul Das.
Hi everyone, it's Rahul. Am I audible?
Yeah, you are.
Okay. Basically, I'm from King of Prussia, Pennsylvania, and very soon I'll be moving to NJ, maybe in the January. Yeah, actually, I'm working as a data architect. My area is on Azure side, but very recently we got trained on the Azure AI, Azure Gen AI, and we talk about Copilot, we talk about ChatGPT. So yeah, so slowly I'm moving into this area. So that's the reason I'm very much interested to learn something new from this forum.
Awesome. Okay. So so I think we have covered everyone except Varun. So I'll Varun, if you want to give a quick intro anyway, you're going to
sure.
Do a deep dive.
Nice to meet you, everybody. My name is Varun. I'm the vice president for a company called Yellow.ai. We are basically a conversational AI platform on voice and IVR and text. And we have developed our own large language models in-house using the basic principles of OpenAI. We have been working with OpenAI over the last 3 years' time. We are invested by Microsoft and Salesforce as a company and SAP. So we have had early access to the OpenAI models and Anthropic and T5, etc., and even Bedrock for the matter. And we have developed our own large language models, which I will talk about once Ujjwal finishes his starting for
And
perspective.
interestingly,
And
we met in the AWS reInvent. We were just, hanging out in the casino, and then we suddenly met, and we saw like a lot of commonalities, and we shared a lot of excitement and the passion. We said, "Oh, you know, uh, hey Varun, I just give him a call. Hey Varun, like I'm doing this meetup. Do we want to like spend some time, give us some nuggets?" And he was like super excited. So thanks, Varun, for your time. So I'll jump into some of the agenda over here. Uh, I know, like, so we have a mixed, group. So we have fairly experienced people, we have very newbies, and people who are interested. So for everyone, just to set the level set and kind of like understand, a little bit about the background. Uh, I'm pretty sure everyone has heard about ChatGPT. Um, like, ChatGPT kind of like changed the whole industry last November, right? November, I think that they just turned 1 year uh, a few weeks back. But there are also other, chatbots available. Does anyone know what is this one? No, right? So this is Anthropic. So another, very big, competitor of ChatGPT. So they have a model called Claude, and you can actually go and do Claude.ai, and it has pretty much similar functionality. And of course, we all know, like Google, they released Bard last year. It kind of like went nowhere. They're still now they're coming up with new models. But then this whole generative AI landscape, it's not only about ChatGPT and chatbots. And of course, like Jeremy, you were interested in the music industry. Someone is interested in the image generation. Like DALI is, owned by OpenAI. Stability AI is another one, and there are like hundreds of them, right? I mean, we lose. I also like. It's very difficult to even keep track of like what are the new models coming out and what are the new companies, getting into it. Music generation. So MuseNet is like OpenAI's product for music generation. Magenta is Google's product for music generation. So lots of them, right? So, and I'm from an enterprise background, so typically, I mean, all these are good, like music generation, image generation are good. Like, but my curiosity was like, hey, what are the use cases where enterprises get involved? So I was like trying to explore that more. And then the more and more I get into that space, then the bigger question comes is like, what are the ethical considerations of, using generative AI kind of like a technology? Like, I'm pretty sure you've heard about like news where there are deep fakes, and then people are kind of like creating Barack Obama's video and sharing it on YouTube and all. Interestingly, I was just following this whole trend for the last few months. What I saw interesting, very interesting thing that has happened this week is actually an AI alliance got created all across the globe. So there are participants from US, Europe, and India, etc., etc. So big. This is a historic moment where an AI alliance, got created this week, and we'll see like what is the outcome of this AI alliance. But it's hopefully for good, right? It's not like things are not going to be like everything automated or everything dark. So there are policies that are being developed. There are regulatory compliance regulations. Those things are being developed, and people are actively working on it. So that is the good news. And so now I'll just quickly, I mean, I know like we have fairly group who has like really worked on large language models. But in general, like um, this large language model kind of like changed the whole landscape of AI, because typically AI has been there like when I started my career. So one of my friend, did their masters in AI and etc. So they were like doing all this mathematics and statistics and stuff like that. But then when large language model came into picture, that really changed the paradigm, right? And basically where a AI model which is good enough for us, like be simple human beings, to ask a question and then respond back in an English language, which is like easy for an like letting someone else in, easy for another person or another human being to understand, right? So that's the beauty of it. It changed the whole industry. So now, earlier, like, people used to think that, okay, by implementing artificial intelligence into my enterprise landscape, I have to, have a huge team of like mathematicians and statisticians, right? But that is, or machine learning experts. But now they have democratized machine learning. Again, does that mean like large language model is like everything? No. I mean, there will be still specialized models and all will be created, but large language model generally have democratized the way AI is being consumed within enterprises. I'll quickly move on to some of the use cases that I just did a chat GPT and say, hey, give me like some of the top 10 enterprise use cases that you can think of. And so first thing that they came up is the customer support automation. And our friend Varun is actually going to do a quick deep dive. I mean, like, I know we are running out of time, but Varun is going to do a quick deep dive on the customer support automation. But very, very common use cases like document summarization analysis. I did a lot of work on the document summarization analysis, data analysis, insight generation, natural language processing, and so on and so forth. Like, the use cases are limitless. The players in the market, OpenAI, Anthropic, Meta, like Facebook, Google, Tesla also came up with their new language model. Hugging Face, Cohere, many, many more. But more interestingly, there are certain frameworks which have like evolved over a period of time, LangChain and Llama Index, which actually helps us, build AI-based applications very easily. And some of the enterprise platform providers are AWS, Microsoft, Google. They have their own platforms. And so I'll stop over here, and I'll let Varun kind of like you take over from here and do your presentation. Then we'll break out for some discussions. If you guys have any questions, feel free to use the chat window. Put your questions for Varun. We'll try to answer as we go. So Varun, are you going to share your screen, or do you want me to?
Yes, I will share my screen. Thank you so much. I'm coming on video finally. Nice to meet you, everybody. My name is Varun. So yeah, hi all. Thanks for joining, by the way. Yeah, as Ujjwal said, that we met in the Vegas MGM Grand property, and it's all started from there. So it's funny. Ujjwal, you need to give me hosting rights. You need to give me rights to share my screen, please.
Share screen.
Yeah, while I'm doing this, let me quickly talk about who we are, what we do. YellowAI, we are the world's #2 conversational AI platform. Close to around 1,600 customers globally. Series C funding, close to $100 million in funding. HQ in Palo Alto. I'm based in Houston, Texas. We have been on generative AI, launched our own large language models based on a small 10 billion parameter engine. It's been close to around 6 months. And we have more than 110 customers globally live on our Gen AI models. Having said that, we've also experienced heavily with OpenAI and integrating them also with Google Bard, etc. So,
Varun, you are the host now.
Thank you so much. What I'm going to do right now is quickly show you a demo, right, of I prefer showing and speaking. That makes more sense, right? Maybe we can discuss in depth about how it's working, etc. Right? So as Ujjwal was talking about document search, etc. Right? So I'm just going to show a quick demo on what we have launched in-house with our large language models. So I would give the flexibility to you guys to choose any website you want, where I'm able to not just scrape data, but also concise the same data and give you a very logical answer for any questions being asked from a website. Now, this capability can also be done using an unstructured document, which can be a PDF, Word, or whatever you want to. So anyone wants to go with the website you guys want to choose, where there's complex involvement of, let's say, unstructured data.
Go to CNN or something.
I'm real-time generating a chatbot. It can be a voice bot also on an IVR. Now, this is the website of CNN. I hope it opens correctly. If it opens and it works. Let's ask any question from the website, guys. Any question you want.
Top news.
That's easy.
Yeah, give me anything. It's fine. Yeah. It'll give you all the right articles because there's too many articles from top news, right? But yeah, we should. So I'm sorry.
How about who are some celebrities that passed away in the last week?
I never tried on our website, which is a news website. It's interesting. Let's see what it answers.
They usually have a culture section though. So
yeah.
Okay.
That's the person who passed last week.
Okay.
Right. As per CNN's website. Now, this YellowG, which is our in-house large language model, is very, very interesting because unlike OpenAI or Anthropic, etc., I am not consuming the world's information to write a poem or write a story or a love letter or a resignation letter or write a resume or ask questions on how do I clear my interview. YellowG is specially made for large enterprises or small, medium enterprises, like healthcare, for example, right? You do not want your enterprise data leaving outside your ecosystem. However, you still want to have a generative AI experience within your organization, for example, in a scenario where there's a lot of documents involved. Let's take an example of HR, right? Somebody wants to know their maternity policy or a paternity policy or etc. All these use cases, or it can also be telling from a drug development perspective, right? So a couple of healthcare customers use this where they use it to find the exact knowledge from research documents or papers which have been published. Okay. Now, if you ask OpenAI, it's going to give you the entire world and hallucinate, let's say 30, 40, 35% by giving you unnecessary information. However, with the YellowG models, we have tested GPT 3.5, 3.5 Turbo, and 4 with our models. And our hallucination rate is less than 0.001% as compared to the other models, which hallucinates more than 3 to 4%. The reason is because the model which we are working on or we have worked on, which is live today, is only based or going to search your enterprise data, concise information, and give you the right answer. Now, let's say in a clinical trial perspective, where you're going to ask a question about a research paper which was published and what exactly did this person speak about for a particular use case, right? Now, a normal model will go and search all the documents and is going to throw you all the documents in your face, and you have to search by page number. But with our models, it is going to search the right page, the right answer, concise it, and throw the right answer in your face, which is going to be readable, palatable, and quick to absorb and understand. Now imagine this on text and voice, right? That's the biggest differentiator which we have compared to somebody said they've worked on Google a lot, right? You can use Bard. Bard will not be able to give you these kind of responses ever. And the more advantages, if you use a 3.5, 4, etc., which we have been trying, experimenting, the latency is heavy, cost is phenomenally expensive. Our model comes at less than 1/3 of the cost, but giving you the same experience and yet making sure that your data is secure within the enterprise and it doesn't go outside. Any questions on this, gentlemen, while I jump into the slides as such?
Yeah, I have one question. So in terms of an apples to apples comparison, for me, I think we should compare it to, for instance, BotPress or VoiceFlow instead of, ChatGPT. And how does, this is the first time I'm hearing about your company's solution, and I'm trying to find out, how does it compare to VoiceFlow or BotPress? Or, for example, Microsoft has their own bot creation. They call it
Louis.
No,
today it's called as Microsoft Power Agents, right? Power Virtual Assistants.
It's called Copilot Studio, where it allows you to create like a similar experience. So again, they are very specialized in creating bots, for specific enterprise use cases.
How different are we is a very good question. Firstly, if I want to talk about it, you need to see the end-to-end platform demo.
Sure.
Only then you'll be able to give a quick comparison, understand it. However, keeping it in a very short perspective, today, if you want to build a bot in Yellow.ai, let it be a voice bot or a chat bot irrespective, we have people hired from Microsoft, etc., right? And we have seen that. What a normal use case which can take 3 weeks or 4 weeks to build, right? With us, it takes exactly 2 days time. because we don't need to code. We are a zero code platform, and it's completely based on prompt engineering. All you need to do is write English, set a goal, and the bot will be able to completely build the journey by itself. That's step one. Step two, multilingual, 135 plus languages. Step three is exposing it on multiple channels. Let's say on a Microsoft platform or a Google platform, or Google CCA, for example. Once you build a bot, every channel you have to rebuild the bot again. But with us, once you build a bot, you're able to expose it on an IVR channel or an Apple Message, Google Messages, WhatsApp, Viber, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. All of this in the same time you can expose it. That's so easy.
And what do you mean by build it? Build it again?
So when you're creating a co-pilot for a bot, right? You write English, you write plain English, you don't build the bot, right? Once the journey is ready, let's say the journey can be, hey, you are a virtual assistant whose job profile is basically to convince a customer who's calling me or chatting with me, right? To sell a credit card, right? And compare other credit cards in the market, but make sure that you are the best. And if a person is ready to sign up right now over with you, then you offer them, let's say, a 2% cashback for the first 6 months. This is what you write as a goal, right? Now, my model will make sure that it is going to, so when we write this, there is a complete journey in the backend, right? A response, coming to and fro, negotiations, everything coming into place. The journey gets built, right? Now, if you have to attach it to a channel means it can be a website, it can be a mobile app of Citibank for the matter, or it can be a person calling on the phone, right? Telling, hey, I want to apply for a new credit card, for example, right? Once you write this complete prompt engineering based model, right? By default, you can expose it to any channel of your choice. So irrespective of your prospect or your customer, see, in today's scenario, the customer demands to come to you at a channel on a channel of his choice. You can't tell him download my mobile app, right? Because my phone's inventory and space is only so much. I do not want to use an app which I'm not going to use frequently, right? Maybe I want to talk to you via WhatsApp. Maybe I just want to text you via Apple Messages, right? So with Microsoft or with Google, etc., other players, you have to configure those channels, configure those responses accordingly in those channels. With this, by default, you can use any channel you want. The system automatically adjusts to the channel which you're exposing, and the rendering happens by default.
Okay.
That's what that's
the difference between a platform, infrastructure components glued together to build a solution, or a platform, and then you're bringing a solution over here, right? So that is the difference. You're bringing the solution versus like in Microsoft or AWS, we have to build the solution. They're giving the platform. Is that a fair statement, Varun?
That's a very fair statement. That's a very fair statement, right? Okay. Now, I also want to talk about, rather than showing us PPTs, presentations, right? It's boring. So we can also discuss about what are the use cases. So from what we have seen as an organization being in the market for over 6 years, doing conversational AI. So we first did conversational AI, then we did Gen AI. Now we're doing Gen AI next level, right? The way market has changed is extremely different. And what are the use cases? People think, so whenever I speak to a prospect, right? They ask me, I want to use Gen AI. Gen AI is a very term which they're all excited using, right? But reality is, where do you need generative AI where it needs to dynamically generate content, right? You cannot apply Gen AI on every aspect of your life. That's the reality. You need to take a straight path in certain perspectives where you don't need a Gen AI model or let's say a large language model. For example, let's take a use case where the person is going to come, let's say a credit union, for example, Freedom Mortgage, right? A person who wants to send an email telling, hey, can you send me a copy of my statement for the last 6 months, for example, right? Very stupid use case. It doesn't require a Gen AI model at all. All it needs is an API integration in the backend with the CRM. I need to know the person's account number. I need to validate it's the right email address. I'm going to dip in the system and send the information back to them. Simple. Let's say a scenario where a person says, hey, I have had a fraud with my credit card. I've had like 9 transactions which have not been done right. Can you help me? Right? And he just attaches his credit card statement, right? Now, this is where you need Gen AI basically, because it needs to go through the document, it needs to understand and correlate with the credit card statement. It can be a 25-page statement, but there are only those 9 issues which he's facing. Understand the line items, which dates he's having an issue with, which vendor he has actually used his card, or maybe he's misused his card, right? And then come back with the response telling, hey, Mr. Rojal, I understand your concern, right? I understand that these are the 9, because the person is telling, I've just had 9 issues with my card, right? It doesn't say which one. So the system has to generate a response telling, can you give me tentative dates where it was, or the vendor names, or the amounts? The person is going to say, okay, fine. I know 9 amounts, it's $220, $181, etc., etc. So the system then understands it, goes back, and then comes back with a response which is going to empathize with him, sympathize with him, not resolve in the same time, but make sure that it is giving a human feeling that, okay, fine, somebody has heard me. Right. Another example I can give you, one of our customers who went live a couple of weeks ago, I would say is Neighborly. Not sure how many of you heard of Neighborly. They basically like, they have multiple companies they liaison with, like AirServe for your air duct cleaning, AC vent cleaning, etc. And they have another company called 5-Star Painting for helping in painting. Now, when I'm going to buy a product, that is when negotiation happens between an end human being and the human being who's going to buy it. How do you replace it with a Gen AI model, right? A large language model. What is the job of a large language model? To understand the sentiment, empathize, sympathize, negotiate if required, and come back. And the end result is to give you the right answer, convince you, maybe make a sale if required. These are some of the use cases which I see are very predominantly used in the customer service space. It's different. The sales space is different. Marketing space is different. Somebody said you were into music, by the way, right? So back in those days, if you're still into music, back in those days, we were using Mark 3s and Mark 4s, the Pioneer CDJs, right? I mean, I'm talking about 20 years before, when I used to DJ. I used to be DJ, by the way, so, right? And I still do part-time. Now we have, if you want to generate your own comms and music, right? I mean, you can ask ChatGPT, integrate it with your Apple laptop, and any of your Pioneer CDJs or the models which you have, or let's say an OpenDJ, for example, you can actually write it and you can actually make it compose music by itself rather than you using your intelligence. But that will lead to not using your own brain where you want to create a comm, right? It is still generated by somebody else. What you can use it to verify, hey, I have done this track, right? Is this beat right? Or am I using the right decibel levels? Or is my tempo correct, right? Has this been, you can also upload this track and say, do you find this kind of a BPM anywhere else around in the market? If anybody else is using it, then it is going to go and search and say, okay, fine. I do see somebody else, right? Let's say, who has had this track, but yours is a little different. That's also can be used from a music production perspective.
Yeah, I'm very familiar with the majority of the tools that are out there. I just have issues with some of the ways they're being employed, and I think there needs to be more musicians involved in how they're being deployed and how they're being developed. There's a lot of rights issues in terms of copyright, and copyright has a number of different layers, and I won't get into all that here, but it is a fascinating area, and I'm just trying to keep up with it.
I mean, I've gone back to turntabling. No more using systems and laptops. That's better that way, I believe.
Yeah.
So that's the real art of DJing, right? So we have like 3 minutes more, and then I can keep talking, guys, for the next couple of hours. But I want to hear others also talk. Your thoughts. It's more of a. It's not. I don't want to be a monologue. It should be a dialogue. Only then it's going to be helpful. So I can also learn. Everybody learn it. So
Varun, this credit card charge dispute example you spoke about. Are you saying that this chat model or the chatbot will also integrate with the backend to pull the data in? Okay.
Yeah. So
that's
example,
really good, yeah.
We have integrations with Finacle, TCS banks, all these players available. So we have integrations with Salesforce. Since we are funded by SAP and Salesforce, only company globally to be funded by SAP and Salesforce. We have integrations with all the native applications, ERP, CRMs, marketing automation, a very fantastic use case, right? You want to do marketing automation, retargeting a user, convincing him, etc. So it's all available readily.
Yeah, very nice.
I'm not here to pitch YellowAI at all. I'm here to talk about generative AI.
No, but this is really good, because that's where the value proposition comes in.
Right.
Of being able to not just have like a website, right, for instance, but you need to be able to get data from a lot of different sources to be able to really replace, let's say, a human being, you know, a customer service rep who's doing all the keyboard entries?
I can give you a classic example. One of my largest customers in North America is Randstad. They're basically the staffing company. Not sure if you've heard of Randstad.
Sure.
People used to call in to ask for the W-2 forms during the tax filing season.
Sure.
That's Jan to April, right? They used to employ 110 people only to receive these calls and dispatch the documents. They're live for over 2 years right now, where you call in and it's completely automated. What used to take 24 hours to receive a W-2 happens today in 30 seconds time. And this 110 people are not required. They're repurposed for other uses. That's
That is the
what
most important thing, right? I mean, a lot of people think that not required means, you know, not required, but actually the repurpose is the most important part over here, because this is what I think, because the volume of work is so much that companies or organizations are not able to keep up, right? The amount of data that is getting generated, and also the expectations that, okay, if I make a phone call, first of all, I want an answer right now. So that is the kind of expectation that people have. And also, you know, the amount of, you know, customers that we are building. So it's like just the volume is too much. So it's more about like repurposing people to actually do the real work and let automation kind of like take care of it, the monotonous part.
Again, what I mean, I don't know the waste. I can give you guys. I can send you guys slides. You can just connect with the LinkedIn. I can tell you more about how
Maybe
many.
you wanted to show some demo on the voice thing, right? But
yeah. I hope it's not going to bore everybody. So if you look like selling yellow bits, I'm not. So I'm just going to.
If you want to do that demo, and then we can, you know, wrap up quickly and for more questions and discussions.
So
I personally don't mind, you know, looking and you trying to sell, you know, because I'd really be interested in seeing the features.
Can you, if you let me know if you can hear? I'm just going to disconnect my AirPods so that you guys are able to hear, and let me know if you can hear this play. If it works, fantastic. Otherwise, I'll have to do some workaround.
We're able to hear you right now.
Hang on.
Hi. Welcome to Yellow Heating Service.
Can you hear the voice?
Yep.
You can, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Fabulous. I'm just going to share my screen then, because it's a show and tell. It's a pure play generative AI development.
I am Sarah. How can I help you today?
I'll strip in the beginning, so yeah.
Hi. Welcome to Yellow Heating Services. I am Sarah. How can I help you today?
My propane is running pretty low.
I'm sorry to hear that. I can help you book a propane delivery to your home. Would you like a complete fill or a partial fill for your tank?
Well, it depends. How much does a complete fill get me back?
To provide you with an accurate cost for a complete fill, I'll need to know the size of your propane tank. Could you please provide the tank size in liters or gallons?
Well, the tank is 50 liters, but I think there's about 10% propane still remaining.
Great, thanks for the information. Since you have a 50 liters tank with 10% remaining, you'll need 45 liters of propane for a complete fill. The cost for 45 liters of propane would be $225. Please note that if the delivery team suspects any leakage, an additional $50 fee may apply for a leakage check. Would you like to proceed with a complete fill order?
$225 is pretty high for me, actually. Let's go with the $100 fill for now.
All right, with a $100 budget, you can get 20 liters of propane. Keep in mind that if our delivery team suspects any leakage, there may be an additional $50 fee for a leakage check. Please confirm your delivery address so we can set up the order for 20 liters of propane.
It's 400 Concar Drive, San Mateo, California, 94402.
Thank you for providing your delivery address. To confirm, the delivery will be made to 400 Concar Drive, San Mateo, California, 94402. The propane delivery will take 10 days from today, which means it will be delivered on January 11th, 2023. Would you like to proceed with this order?
Yes, I understand the order, but the 10-day delivery is quite a bit. Can you do any better?
I apologize for any inconvenience the 10-day delivery period may cause. As a courtesy, I can offer you a 5% discount on your order.
5% or $5?
$5 for 20
5%.
liters of propane. I hope this helps to compensate for the delivery time. Would you like to proceed with this discounted order?
Well, thanks for the consideration, but you folks should definitely look into reducing this delivery time in the future.
Thank you for your feedback, and we appreciate your understanding. We continuously strive to improve our services, and we'll definitely consider your suggestion for reducing delivery times in the future. Your order for 20 liters of propane with a 5% discount, totaling $95, is now confirmed. The delivery will be made to 400 Concar Drive, San Mateo, California, 94402 on January 11th, 2023. Please remember to make the necessary arrangements for our delivery team to access your tank. If you have any questions or need further assistance, feel free to reach out to us. Thank you for choosing Yellow Heating Services.
Yes, great talking to you. Thank you. Bye.
There is a pure play Gen AI demo.
So
And it's
this opens up a lot of questions about like a jailbreak and the backend integrations, stuff like that. So primarily the jailbreak, right? I mean, how are you handling it?
If you use a Bard OpenAI, the latency for response is going to be 30 to 45 seconds. But this is our own in-house model. Because I'm not scouting the World Wide Web for answers, I'm sticking to enterprise data only. The responses are less than 3 seconds. We have still worked on it to just give the response less than 1 second. It's difficult, but is it worth doing? The answer is no, because then hallucination will start.
So the other thing is like, as you mentioned, like this can be orchestrated and kind of like coded. Why do I need to use Gen AI?
Exactly. And see, the best part is when you build a model with us, right? Since let's say we have a platform. In the platform, you can choose if you want to use our conversational AI model. Certain nodes do you want to use only generative AI, which is in-house, or certain use cases which you feel that we cannot achieve ourselves, which we are honest about, then the node-based goals can be attached to a third-party large language model today. Any questions?
Basically, it's a combination of like conversation.
It's combination, yeah. And if you go with the Bard, if you go with Anthropic, if you go with OpenAI, if you go with Microsoft's OpenAI's API, you are stuck to only them. You can't leverage anybody else. But here we give you an orchestrator to use multiple models. And my base model, which we have built in-house, based on confidence score, will decide should it use itself for the response or it's going to scout for somebody else for the response. And
are you kind of like, for a particular question, are you reaching out to 3 different models and then the quickest one gives you the answer?
Not the quickest one, the most accurate one.
With the most accurate one. Okay, confidence score. And what about like, maintaining the memory, right? You're maintaining it within the conversational platform.
Everything, yeah. The complete memory is getting maintained.
Are you also like integrating this whole transcript to like CRM or something like that? So that
the entire transcript gets pushed to the CRM into ServiceNow, for example, or a Salesforce Service Cloud. Tickets get created, like how an agent does, right?
So do you guys have like out-of-the-box integration with the CRM and the ServiceNow? Right?
Yeah.
I believe so. Right?
99% all platforms which have an API, direct integration is available. Yes, Mehul. Gopa has been very silent.
No, I'm quite fascinated actually, because I was thinking about a use case. I was actually mulling over a use case actually. So how much time do we have first? I want to
We have time. Like, so the plan is to go till 8, but we can go beyond.
Right. Let's imagine a pharmaceutical production line, manufacturing tablets. Okay. Now, so before I get into that, one of the key things that I'm not seeing in many of the Gen AI conversation is a broad level outcomes that people are looking for. You actually defined it actually pretty well in Yellow.ai, right? So if I were to define outcomes for this production line, how can I reduce my production cost to bridge lack of failure? How do I historically know how much a failure is happening? how do I historically know how much of citations have happened from the regulatory authority? Okay, let's take just 3 things. Okay, now most of the production-related parameters are pretty well defined. Okay, and regular ML can easily handle it. Okay, you don't need LLM to do that.
Correct.
So ML can handle and tell you, okay, this production failure happened this time, this has to be shut down. But there is always this third element in it. There's a ton of unstructured data sitting in terms of manuals and sitting in terms of public information, in terms of sitting in front of the FDA showed up one day and gave them a citation, which is now sitting as a PDF, right? Now, my question is, how does Yellow.ai combine the structured piece? Let's say we can put it into a vector DB and get all those things done through ML. Okay, easy part of it. But how do you combine the LLM piece along with vector DB to produce a single consolidated dashboard that gives them the warning, hey, you guys have been messing up. They're sending emails to each other. Okay, but it's still not a reported production problem. And the production problem has been showing up for the last 6 months and trending, extrapolated trending. It's going to cause you problems later in terms of the product not being in the market. Okay. Now let's take example, an important, let's say Jardiance, diabetes drug, very necessary for diabetics in the market, right? They're not able to do the production. It causes delay. So there are outcome market issues related to that. So my question is, how do you combine these two in terms of, at least from a thinking perspective? Because the TPU versus GPU costs are very, very different. You see where I am going with this?
It directly relates to the impact it is going to have on production. How much inventory is going to be left because of this? Your inventory holding, that's first part. How much is going to affect your complete supply chain? That's the second part.
Yeah.
And by not doing this, how much gross margin loss you're having and how much revenue loss you're going to have.
Right.
Is it worth investing in a large language model for this? Absolutely right, yes. Here, there should be a combination of any in-house LLM model, like for example, Yellow, for example, with a combination of an OpenAI, bridge both together, build a flow which can be static as well as dynamic, bring the documents, concise the documents and bring those, I would rather say, the answers concised by YellowG, run those into an OpenAI model, ask for third-party data, bridge both, and get the answer out. So one LLM can't do it. You should at least
that was my
enormous amounts of data, which you already have, fed into a system, which concises it, then gives it to OpenAI. Because as an enterprise in a manufacturing medical space vertical, you don't want your data to go outside, the complete data. So a concise data is still acceptable because it doesn't show the drug test dates, etc. Right? For example, argumented. Or it doesn't show your production line, how your production line is working, how your shop floor to top floor is functioning in terms of data movements, etc. Right? Now,
also you're doing PII redaction or something like that. You do not want to
reduction. So we do all the reduction part, then feed it into the OpenAI models, and then ask answers. In that way you do, then your GPU cost will be lesser, because my GPU cost is less than 1/3 of what, let's say if OpenAI is charging you per, let's say API haters were token 6 cents, for example. That's what they charge today, right? Mine will be 1/3 of the cost. So do 90% of the work on my model, and then bring the remaining 10% of the model here, so that then the overall cost benefit analysis, if you see for this, will work much.
So let's assume that I want to go just with YellowAI. I mean, just for fictional use case, right? Why do I need to go with OpenAI in that case? If I'm doing the concise, if I'm already doing the summarization, no, why did you say that?
Summary will not help here. Summary is not going to solve the problem. Right. Summary with a prediction and giving a right response. This is pure generative AI use case.
Yeah.
So generative AI needs the context. I need to find the context by, querying my vector database, right? So this is not generative. It's all semantic search over there, right? Once I got the context, I'm going to feed it to an LLM. So if I can feed it to your YellowAI LLM that you have in-house, why do I even need to go out to another LLM? I did not get that.
My GenAI will not give you suggestions. Suggestions on how to do it, best practices can only be done with global models, not with my model. My model is going to stick to your enterprise data, right? Your enterprise data will tell you what is already available. It is not going to tell you to achieve this result, what do you need to do?
But then that kind of opens up hallucinations, right? That
You,
kind
it will
of
be
opens up,
hallucination.
like
Yeah.
So
like generic best practices, not like that specific company's practices, right? So it's a very interesting part, like when do we
Right.
use global model versus like our own data, right?
Right.
It's
So
just most complex
there's
question
one
to be
more.
answered.
There's one more aspect of a ground reality. Now, let's say there is a production fault and it gets flagged and it gets escalated within no time, right? So there's a senior VP of quality sitting there, and he or she has a chatbot terminal. How many times has this happened before? Simple question.
that is easy to answer.
Very easy to answer, right? But then that can cascade into a more detailed part of it. So in addition to LLM being used for generation of a dashboard, there's also this component in it as well, the conversational piece of it.
The larger here will be most of the machines years when I was back in ERP days, right? When I was selling Oracle and IPN and the Mantra, right? The machine output language was never able to understand by the system, right? Decoding it, encoding it into a language which you need, and then deciphering it and giving the right answer is a major. But today's dates, all the machines have your assist. For example, we do a classic use case back in India for roadside assistance, right? So we monitor all your vehicles. Hyundai, for example, Hyundai is a customer. We monitor all your vehicles. We monitor the driver speed, engine speed, everything. All this data gets emitted via the transporter which is coming. It is in a machine format. We get all the data and then we send proactive alerts to the driver telling, hey, your tire has driven 18,000 kilometers, it's going to get worn out. Trying to recycle the tire, right? So that communication is very much possible.
Okay. Anyway, that is a great answer. Thank you, Varun.
So if I can add to that conversation. So there's this concept of agents. And what an agent is, it's very specific at doing one task. And you can have one agent talking to one particular large language model that is best suited for serving the purposes of the agent. So what happens is, like Varun said, one of the agents might be configured to talk to OpenAI. One might be configured to talk to the internal large language model. And then what happens is you create like a swarm of agents that again communicate with each other. So you're not looking at these things in isolation. So you may have some large language models. You may have some small language models. So there's an open source project called AutoGen. So again, it essentially helps you to create like a swarm of agents, each of them specialized in doing one thing, where they all communicate with each other, and not only communicate in the sense of sending out alerts, but also go to the extent of actually taking action.
Okay. Thank you, man.
Very interesting discussion. I know, like, we can keep on continuing this discussion. It's never ending. I just want to get some feedback from Jeremy. Like, I know, like, you had some, thoughts about music industry. Like, what did you get out of this, discussion, or like, what is, something that you found very interesting?
Oh, I think everything about it is interesting. When it comes to the voice interactions, I wonder what customer acceptance is going to be. I know that, my parents are pretty frustrated when they get these automated calls. And it's a similar culture shift when it comes to like restaurants that use menus with a QR code. And there seems to be a pushback against that. I've seen restaurants go with the QR code, and I've seen the same restaurants switch back to paper menus.
I have seen that too, yeah.
So like, what is the cultural impact? Is everything going to go as planned? The technology is doing great things and is very useful, but will it be accepted the way that you're presenting it?
Yeah, that's a
interesting
question.
Interesting stuff, right?
Yeah.
I'll give you a classic example. We have more than 170 customers live over voice globally. North America will be close to 27, 28. What's your garage door open in the house, my friend? Are you on LiftMaster, Chamberlain?
Yeah, mine. Yes.
Have you used the mobile app? The support is done by us. Now, before that came into picture, right? You were calling the call center. After deploying that for the last 12, 14 months time, the contact center volumes have come down by 33%. And we did an analysis on the user profiles of who you're using. Interesting, people above the age of 45, 50 are the ones using it. Right? Because I'm a tech savvy person, maybe. I know how to fix my garage. I just Google it, I fix it, or YouTube, I fix it. People are actually using a virtual assistant today are about the age of 50. Another classic example. Waste Connections, not sure I've heard of them. They're one of the number 3 in North America and Canada for your garbage pickup. You go to the website, you call their IVR, that's powered by my company, right? Again, so what we do is we don't launch it just like that. We don't throw it in the faces telling, hey, from tomorrow, don't talk to me. You do an A/B testing, right? Or a multivariant testing. You open it to a certain level of audience. You sometimes open it only for after hours, or you keep it during afternoon 12 noon till, let's say, 4 p.m., right? You start with that. It's like alcohol. You start drinking slowly and then you get addicted to it, right? It's wrong analogy, but again, that's how it works. You keep it going slowly, and then eventually, see, anything going full hog, an implementation for going live with an ERP, or let's say you want to produce music. When you're producing music bits and bytes per day, you don't compose your entire track in 24 hours and then you release it, right? Give the drug slowly to your customers so they get used to it. You throw anything on people's faces, they're going to put it back to you. I think that answers the question, I believe.
Yeah, very good answer.
It's fantastic. Rahul, you want to give some comments or anything that you found interesting in this discussion? Rahul, you're on mute if you're talking. I think, yeah, that's okay. So that kind of like wraps up our discussion today. Our first meetup, smaller group, but I think it was very intense and a lot of brainstorming session done. Thanks, Varun, for all the inputs, and thanks Gopa and Mehul for all the active participation. Like, looking forward to the next one. So what would be a I know Gopa, you mentioned a lot of interesting stuff, and you mentioned like few particular areas that you would like to deep dive a little bit more. Do you have anything particular in mind maybe for the next session?
To be honest with you, I am struggling with something.
Okay.
What I'm struggling with is finding an optimal combination between when to use ML versus when to use LLM, and how to combine these two together, because that's a real practical use case.
Correct.
Because you do not need LLM for everything.
Okay.
See what I mean?
True. Yep.
So,
true.
And that's something, the reason I'm struggling is probably I lack clarity in that area too. So that to be able to ask questions in a wonderful forum like this, it's okay if we don't know. I'm fine with that. But to be able to come up with some kind of a balance.
And you guys have been
Because
using
compute costs
ML
become
for
very,
a
very
longer
important.
period of time, right?
Yeah.
LLM is new, but you have been using ML for so many years.
Well, such a long time. Yes.
Yeah. Have been using.
No, sorry. ML has been around for a long time. The other issue is that LLM gets thrown